Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show. Coming at you this morning from, as always, and here in LA, we got Combo with us. And, in fact, we were going to bring Ben on in a minute, but I realized that he's still on the screen. So let's bring Ben on right now because we might as well have this all big, happy family. So welcome, Combo. How's it going real quick?
All is well.
Good.
How are you?
I am good. Ben Ritholtz, how are you from Knicks Film School? Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Coach. Everything is great over here. Excited to get into it.
Perfect. Well, aside from the, this is live, and we always have interesting ways to start our show. This is as good as any. So let's get right into it because Ben, I wanted you to come on the show to discuss the Knicks and the Pacers second round. Very exciting to have these two guys, these two teams battling it out for the first time in a little while. I suppose from the Knicks' point of view, what do you think is the biggest key to this series and them winning?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not going to surprise anybody that I think the offensive glass is going to be key. The Pacers, not a good defensive rebounding team all year long. The Knicks, of course, pretty dominant on that end. And even the Sixers, who weren't a good defensive rebounding team, but have Joel Embiid down there, struggled to maintain their box outs over the course of those games. Fourth quarters, often the Knicks started to kind of wear them down and get to the offensive glass. If the Knicks can dominate that portion of the game, could be big trouble for Indiana.
Combo, what do you think?
I think the key for the Knicks is slowing down this Pacers offense, even though the offense has slowed down in the playoffs a little bit already. But, the Pacers have the type of modern offense where it's like quick hitting buckets before the defense even gets set. And it's going to be interesting to see how Tibbs has this defense going in terms of slowing them down. Are they going to pick them up early? Like, how are they going to defend this team, and how will it be different than what they did against the Sixers? What do you think, Ben?
No, it's a good point. And the way those 2 points are related too, right, is can the Knicks attack the offensive glass with the ferocity they always do while still maintaining their transition defense, the integrity of their transition defense? If they send Josh Hart crashing in, and let's say Tyrese Halliburton's guarding Josh Hart, now Tyrese is going 4-on-3 back the other way if the Pacers do secure the rebound. So those 2 points are related, and that's going to be a real battleground to me is, can the Knicks commit to the offensive glass? Can the Pacers get any rebounds? And if they do get those rebounds, how do the Knicks get back? Can they contain the fast-paced Indiana offense?
Who do you think should start out on Miles Turner? And do you think there's anybody that could guard a stretch big like him on the Knicks?
Yeah, I think Tibbs likes to start traditional. I think he will start Hartenstein on Turner, and I think the Embiid experience hopefully gave him some different looks they can throw at that pick and pop, whether it's bringing in the weak side to guard the pop, whether it's veer switching with the guard back out onto Miles Turner. I think they'll start with those sorts of strategies. If Turner starts to really hurt them, I could see them making that swap that Milwaukee made early in the series, right, which would be putting Hartenstein on Siakam and having maybe OG Anunoby on Turner, even Josh Hart on Turner, that kind of thing, to try to muck up that pick and pop attack.
Wow. Well, that's why we have you here, Ben. That's really great insight into how they're going to match up. I also am worried about the fast breaking because obviously the Pacers I believe they were third in fast transition frequency, and they were like maybe sixth in points per possession. So they're good. They're very good in transition. It was surprising to me, and maybe you can give us a little more insight into why the Knicks aren't better in the regular season, at least, in defending the fast break. It looked like they were giving up a high frequency and then not defending it, more than about average. So that seems strange to me for a Tibbs team. What do you think is going to happen on that end, and why that's been occurring all year long?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the numbers of late. I do think that improved once Julius Randle was out of the picture. Julius Randle, for all of his strengths, is at times lazy, unwilling transition defender in terms of getting back. So I do think the numbers improved once he went out. But I think it goes back to what we were talking about, right? The way they commit to the offensive glass, I think does leave them vulnerable at times to opposing transition. And the last thing I'll say on it is Jalen Brunson being the first guy back often. He's barely 6 feet tall, right? So if a guy is out, and other teams often have length on him on wings. So whether it's now a wing getting out and being able to seal him deep, or just in general having him as the first line of defense is not ideal, right? So when Jalen Brunson's your first transition defender, that can leave you in some vulnerable situations.
I have a Julius Randle based question. How do you feel, Ben, that his absence has changed the title chances for the Knicks? Either way.
It's funny. It kind of, it's matchup dependent to me. Like this matchup would concern me if Julius Randle was around, because the things that Indiana does really well are things that Julius Randle struggles with. We talked about the transition defense, even just a quick processing defensively, the way that Indiana goes action to action to action so quickly, I think quicker than any other team. Julius struggles to kind of stay with those types of quick actions. I think he might struggle with the ghost screening that Indiana throws at you. Historically, those are things that Julius has really struggled with. But in terms of like an offensive ceiling, what the Knicks are asking Jalen Brunson to do on a nightly basis, and Coach Nick, I know you've detailed it, he keeps doing it, which is frankly unbelievable that he's able to still sustain his, for the most part, his efficiency. I mean, even though obviously with this kind of load, it's going to decrease a bit, but he's maintained his effectiveness despite the crazy offensive load he's carrying. I mean, it would really surprise me if the Knicks can, like, if they get past this round and they go to Boston, if he's their only creator, their only offensive creator, I think that is too much to ask of a 6-foot guard to really get you to the promised land. They would have needed Julius Randle's secondary creation to at least have enough offensive upside to beat a team like a Boston, for example.
Well, both you and Combo said that a lot about how they needed that secondary creator. And I want to agree, but as a coach, I want to believe that you can as a team and the way they're fashioning their defense. And then, listen, the offense is functioning. And, it almost ends up being like you need someone who can really devise a better game plan to get the ball out of Brunson's hands more often. Rick Carlisle should be in that conversation for someone who can sit down and do that, because it didn't feel like that was happening well enough. I mean, I know you're on the Knicks side, but were you a little bit like scratching your head a little bit about how they ended up approaching the defensive concepts against Brunson?
The Pacers or the Sixers?
Sorry, the Sixers.
Yeah. Man, the Knicks have gotten pretty good at dealing with those kinds of traps. And I think that's why Nick Nurse wanted to stay away from it is, there's now more shooting on the floor for New York with DiVincenzo and OG, right? When Randle being out, what it does allow is for you to have more spacers on the floor. Randle's an okay shooter, but he's not a very good one. We have OG in the corner, DiVincenzo in the corner, Deuce McBride, when he's in the game, a very high-level shooter. And Josh Hart and Isaiah Hartenstein are both very good going downhill in that short roll situation. So if you do trap and the Knicks use Hartenstein or Hart as screeners, the Knicks have gotten really good at breaking that down. And you're just kind of giving the Knicks an advantage instead of forcing Brunson to create one. I think that's why Nurse stayed away from it. Also, I think just having Joel Embiid at, I don't know what percentage you guys thought he was at. I would say 65, 70% of himself. Yeah. Asking him to come out and trap a 1-5 pick and roll and then get back to the rim, I think was probably just asking too much. And maybe Nurse would have done a little bit more of it had he had a fully healthy Joel Embiid.
And in Nurse's defense, what they also were doing was Joel would just zone and then have somebody else go up and deal with a pick and roll, which is really the way every team should be doing that on every pick and roll, right? Like, why would you want your center to have to go up there if they don't have to? And we're seeing it now in the Denver series with Minnesota doing some really interesting stuff. So it is fascinating. I think that's the next frontier that we've finally gotten out of the box with defending pick and rolls, at least differently. So here's my thing. I think the key could very well be TJ McConnell. You throw him out there, and it was weird because I was looking at the numbers, and he didn't really shoot that well, but it's just like whenever you kind of look at the game and when they're going on runs, it just felt like in the first round, TJ McConnell was a guy who was completely igniting their offense and going faster than everybody else wants to go, and their offense moving as well, better than when it didn't. So some of those big runs that would end the games were when he was out there. So, but again, this is a different. I think it's fair to say, right? This will be a completely different defense they're going to have to they're facing in the Knicks versus what they faced against Philly.
Yeah, I mean, Knicks fans know TJ McConnell is a historic Knicks killer. So he is playing at a very high level. I think the whole second half of the year he's been fantastic for Indiana, and he's for years now been a thorn in the Knicks side coming off the bench, whether it was in Philadelphia or Indiana. What he allows them to do also is, like, we know how fast-paced Halliburton plays, right? But even when Halliburton sits, the bench unit is McConnell and Obi Toppin. McConnell's a jitterbug. He's always going. Obi Toppin's one of the fastest players, as Knicks fans know well, one of the fastest players in transition in the entire league. So the pace doesn't lessen when those guys come in the game. So it's really 48 minutes of this hard-hitting, intense, pace-filled offense for the Pacers. I agree with you. And Deuce McBride, who in previous Knicks matchups guarded McConnell when he was off the bench, McConnell killed him with his pull-up game. Deuce could not guard him. So I'll be interested to see as well. And I don't know, Combo, what do you think about this? But like with that bench unit, who actually guards McConnell? How do they keep him out of the paint from kind of wreaking havoc?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could give him some Josh Hart's minutes, right? If it gets too crazy.
Yeah.
But the bigger thing out of all of this, Ben, I believe, is how well Pascal Siakam has been playing because he's actually been Indiana's best player, as good as Tyrese Halliburton's been. I think there's somewhat of an injury going on. I don't know if it's a hamstring, but he hasn't been great since he's the in-season tournament when he was playing like an MVP candidate. Yeah. Who do you think is best for TJ McConnell? But not only TJ McConnell, who do you think could slow down Pascal?
Yeah, I think the Knicks will throw OG at him to start. And I think there's been some debate whether it's OG on Halliburton or OG on Siakam. I to me, if you can eliminate that pressure point, right? Because like if OG is guarding Siakam, you're not really going to send much help. Like you're going to allow OG to take that matchup. You don't have to compromise your defense now when they're one-on-one. You have enough to deal with the Halliburton pick and rolls. Like I think sticking OG on Siakam and just eliminating that pressure point, I think is really would be the wise strategy, at least to start the series. And then if there's a staggering situation where Siakam sits, but Halliburton's still in the game and OG's in, I think they'll slide OG over to Halliburton. But as long as Siakam and OG are sharing the floor, I imagine that'll be the matchup. And
I'm really looking forward to that. I would love the idea that they're former teammates and they can win games. But what you said earlier about if they have to deal with OG guarding Turner, that kind of almost bums me out because now we don't get that as much. And it will probably end up being a real problem for Tibbs to have to figure out how to make that work because like it just seems like, okay, if OG ends up guarding Turner and is out there, I'm trying to figure out, like it feels in my mind's eye that could be problematic on the second or third pass. Why? What am I missing here?
Is there ever a second or third pass with the Pacers?
Oh, yeah.
They just get shots up quick too, even though it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
They move it quick. There's passing involved. It's just really quick passing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And will Nembhard continue to play this way? He's been playing really well, aggressive, better than he has. Huge bump in minutes in the first round. And that's another question. This is a whole other thing, right? I think we can all agree when you go from the first round, second round becomes even more of a pressure-filled situation for guys that might not have had that kind of experience. So, all right, as we wrap this up with Ben, what do you think, Ben? What's your take? What's the outcome of the series going to be?
I am not one to be overconfident about the Knicks. I've usually downplayed their playoff success, but I really like this matchup, and I have Knicks in 5 in this one. I think they're going to win
because of the physicality.
Yeah, I think if I was getting, like you said, a combo, if you're getting Halliburton from the first 30 games of this year, who was one of the best players in the league, I would get it. The way he's played, I think again they can eliminate the Siakam pressure point for the most part. If he can't carry that offense, I don't think Indiana has really the tools or the size or the physicality to deal with the Knicks attack, and that's kind of where I see the series going.
Okay. Yeah, all right, Combo, are you in on that or not?
I'll say Knicks in 6. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for coming on. Make sure everybody out there follows him at Ben Ritholtz NBA. And wait, is that your thing? I guess.
Yeah, it's right. It's right. You're right. You got it. You nailed it.
All right. Anyway, never mind. It's on the screen. It's whatever, you'll find it. And again, Ben, thanks so much for coming on here for breaking this down for us. This was amazing.
Thanks, all. Thank you guys so much for having me. Enjoy the rest of the show.
You got it. See it.
Thank you.
All right, we're back. And all right, that was great. Thank you so much, Ben, for coming on and doing that. And it's really helpful a lot when you have someone who just follows the team religiously every minute, every second, every game.
100%.
A lot more nuance. And but now that we're back in you and I combo, let's remind everybody if they want to have their questions answered, the super chat's the way to go over on the YouTube side if you're there. Anything else? I mean, we kind of encapsulated a lot of that stuff. I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to make a point about. Fast breaks, transition, TJ McConnell. The Miles Turner thing is a real cool, key here, right? He's scorching from 3, and can he keep that up?
It's always interesting to see like the first game back from when teams are adjusting from their last series, who unlocks, right? And I think we're probably going to see it's going to be very different than the Sixers series, right? Because the Pacers play so different, and it's just going to be interesting to see what players for the Knicks could unlock in this series.
For sure. And, I know you said and they get the shots up quick in Indiana, but the ball does move quick as well and more. In fact, actually, next time I'm going to look this up in a minute, but as far as passes per game, I have to imagine the Pacers are so much beyond what the Philly had to be one of the fewest passing teams in the league. Is that the right word? Fewest passing, the team that passed the least.
Yeah. Can I see the league averages for both?
Well, here, I'll do for the regular season passes made. The number one was Indiana, 308 per game. So there you go. And then just for context, the Sixers were Philly was actually they were up there. I'm surprised. I kind of felt like with Joel, but they wouldn't have passed as much. The Sixers were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th in the league in passes made in the regular season. Of course, that changes a lot when you get into another series. But that's big. And then if they're 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. So the 15th place team, kind of the average, the mean, it would be 283 per game. That's Utah Jazz. So that's what the 283 is the median or whatever that is. And then you can tell the Pacers are, 50 passes per game higher than no, it's not 50, 83, 93, 03, 35 passes per game higher than the average. So it'll be different. It'll feel different without question based on what I saw in the first round from Philly's offense.
We didn't get your prediction.
Ooh. So my prediction, the Knicks have the home court advantage, and that's big. MSG, how rowdy that can get.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy. Oh man.
What do you think about those that there's the Twitter account that will go after the game and just let the New York fans make idiots of themselves on the camera? Have you seen all those?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the videos. I didn't know it was coming from one account. I would assume that comes from a lot of accounts.
Oh, I thought it was like the one with the mic, whatever. But okay, but what do you think about those?
I think it's cool. I mean, it's good to see New York in a frenzy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, highly entertaining, absolutely. It does get a little borderline on some of the things you hear these guys say. The last one I'm thinking of, you hear what you know?
Oh, no, I didn't hear any of the
last guy on the last one that I saw. I think it was when they won the series. Was wholly inappropriate. But okay. I suppose. By the way, did you see the roasting of Tom Brady last night?
No.
Do you know who Tom Brady is?
Yes.
I know who he is. So if I know, you must know him because I don't know anything about football.
Oh, Tom Brady. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows Tom Brady.
Anyhow, Netflix released this big thing. It's actually kind of interesting how they did it in Whenever Live. And I gotta tell you, it's like, what roasts are like, right? You've seen them and how.
Oh yeah.
Right. You sometimes you laugh anyway, right? Like you laugh because you can't believe how horrible.
I mean, yeah, comedy is meant to be inappropriate, right? There's no such thing as inappropriate in comedy.
There's not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Listen, a lot of the older comics are now complaining that you can't be funny anymore because of the way people are.
Yeah, I think there's truth to that, don't you?
Well, listen, it just makes you have to be more creative. That's all. You can make people laugh. If you can't figure it out, then maybe it's not for you. Like,
you don't go to a comedy show to see appropriate.
Right. But, you have to be able to figure out a way to do that now because, the audiences have changed. Anyway, this is a weird how we got into this. I have no idea. I guess it's my fault. I know how we got there because I'm talking about the Knicks fans after the games. So I haven't given you my prediction. So let's see here. I think I like Knicks in 6. None of the Pacers have second round experience, do they?
No, but this whole playoffs is littered with young players, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we just finished.
What I was actually thinking about this today. Like, what players are actually in their prime? What stars are actually in their prime left in the playoffs? Like maybe Tatum and Brown, and that's it.
Well, I mean, we're not going to put Anthony Edwards in there, or
no prime. Anthony Edwards is not in his prime.
Oh, okay, he's not in his prime. Donovan Mitchell,
it's a good one.
Now,
I mean, I think Anthony Edwards haven't even scratched his prime, which is scary.
That's fair enough. I mean, listen, in my take, we kind of get a sense of who you're going to be after like your 4th year. I feel like it's like college, right? And then, so after you graduated college, your 4th year of the NBA, that's I don't know how much more you're going to, even if you got in the league at 18 or whatever, and you're only 22, if you played 4 years in the pros and you played, some amount of minutes in all those years, then I feel like we're getting closer to where they're going to be. Whether the age thing becomes the prime or not is changes for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying, but I think everybody's trajectory is different,
Yeah, you can find outliers for that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and excuse me, sorry, Malcolm. Pascal Siakam has a ring. And Brunson has been to the Western Conference. I was making. Didn't I say Indiana only? I thought I tried to make it Indiana. It didn't have
Pascal's in his prime.
Pascal's just trying. Is he a star?
Yes.
Okay.
He's like an underrated, under-discussed star.
Is Pascal Siakam top 20?
Yeah, the way he's been playing. The way he's been playing this year. But
Yeah.
it's always I always mention Seth Partnow because he always says there's like 20 top 5 players, so maybe there's 40 top 20 players. When you actually go through them. But I mean, he's been their best player.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he has. It's interesting, right? Because he's been able to bail them out a little bit on possessions where they kind of don't. The offense doesn't really work well. They can get it to him, and he can just make a bucket.
He was a perfect fit. A guy that could get in the mid range and get a bucket.
Yeah, so that's been really great to see. And again, I can't wait to watch that matchup between him and OG. So, but yeah, it just feels like the Knicks have more that like maybe like they're deeper, right? I mean, I'm not even sure. Like the Pacers, where's my Pacers tab? Gosh darn it all.
The physicality of the playoffs should benefit the Knicks, right?
Yeah, I mean the Pacers had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, the starters. It's like an 8-man rotation barely. By the way, Ben Shepherd, I want to make sure I give shouts out to him. I love his game. Have you been paying attention to him at all? I mean, on Indiana, he's really fast. Like the speed, he plays really fast. He can just stroke the ball from behind the arc. It's unbelievable like that, and quick. Tough. It just seems like a tough, no nonsense. Nothing's going to bother him. I think he's a 4-year player from Belmont. So this is the kind of thing where, all right, maybe the playoffs aren't going to be too much pressure for him. He's been in that situation. He's very well polished.
Yeah, he feels like a Heat guy, right? Like you find him from a place like Belmont,
Yeah, right. Yeah. And by the way, he should get more minutes. I think he's getting 17.
You know how Rick does it. He's not going to give like a player who hasn't proven 40 minutes usually, but we'll see.
Well, do you know how many minutes TJ McConnell averaged in the last series?
How much?
You don't want to take a guess?
38.
TJ
probably more.
38. He doesn't start, so
35. He played a lot.
18.
Oh, really?
I was shocked because it was like every time I was like started watching, it's like he's out there, he's playing. But unless NBA.com is wrong, I'm looking at this and it says
minutes.
That he played 18 minutes a game in the 16th.
I feel like he was always on the floor.
But you know what? Let's look at his splits because I bet you maybe it changes. Like maybe he ended up playing the last 3 games a whole lot. Let me see here because it doesn't make sense. And I saw that and I was like, oh, this will be interesting. But let's dig deep. Let's dig deep a little bit more to make this more of a a regular show of mine where I'm busy trying to find stats while we're talking. So here's the minutes. It goes 18, 16, 15, 18, 16, 22. Weird, right? But he's that impactful that it kind of feels like he's played. You wanted to have him at 30. You wanted to have him at like a starter's minutes plus.
How many points did he average?
And you know what? He actually didn't even shoot that well. That was always weird. So here's TJ's line. 18 minutes, 9.5 points, 43.6% from the field, and like 25% from 3. Doesn't take too many of those.
He's not really a shooter.
Yeah, and 4.5 assists. Doesn't turn the ball over. Where's his turnovers? Oh, that's weird. Why don't I see turnovers here? Oh, there they are. 1. Yeah, on 1 a game. So, but I gotta tell you, it is an effect. He comes on there, and the ball just starts flying around, and he's flying around out there. He plays good defense. He's not going to be intimidated by this situation. So I feel like if they can get good play out of him, that'll be a really big boost to get a little bit deeper in the series. But I could probably see. I think 6, 5 or 6 probably. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. Does Nembhard continue to play the way he's been playing and shooting as well as he has? His numbers.
Maybe Tyrese could have a series. You never know because he came out strong that last game.
Yeah, so we don't know. Like he's no one's saying anything about him being hurt.
No, but it's been. I mean, he hasn't been the same since that hammy midway through the season.
Yeah, but like it's weird because the hammy thing does. I guess it lingers. It could linger and then it affect everything. And at some point, though, I feel like it doesn't linger anymore. This seems a little bit long for a hamstring to be lingering, doesn't it?
No, because those are the type of. It's not like an ACL. Once it's fixed and you rehab, it's usually okay. Those soft tissue injuries could linger.
Oh, this was February.
Yeah, those things linger. Like the soft tissue stuff lingers usually more than like the surgical repair of a ligament. Yeah,
I guess you're right. Like I'm always like, to me, it's like it gets really. You finally just do it and it's gone. You can't play at all. Like or it heals. But you're right. Like all that can linger. I'm not going to.
Also, like he's adjusting to having another star in his team.
That could be
part of it. Yeah,
that could very well be part of it. So interesting series. I cannot wait for it to start. We get to watch it tonight. What time does the game start?
I believe 7:30, but I could be mistaken.
If he only had a way of checking that, let me check it here. But yes. So what else we have to talk about? Do you want to mention anything about the game yesterday, Game 7? It's at 7:30 your time.
I mean, Mitchell showed up, right? 39 points.
Yeah.
So
you want to guess when they finally doubled him? What's that part of the game?
Fourth quarter.
Like 2 minutes to go, and then the game was pretty much over by that point.
Yeah.
But I was looking at this thinking, it is hard because then you got Garland who can create, and that it is hard if you want to get it out of his hands. But I think you got to take your chances with that, because but Mitchell was walking to the basket. It was bad. They gave up way too easy points to him too on those. So I'm concerned. I feel like there needed to be better adjustments to that in that Game 7 for them. But you know what? I'm sure the Magic are happy with that young team going 7 games in a tough first-round playoff series. They showed some moxie. I guess we saw some stuff from Banchero, who, some evidence that he can do that primary shot creator role really well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he averaged 29 this series, right?
Yeah, and I think he shot well from 3, which is weird because I saw some moments when he was really struggling to score at all and taking what we consider bad shots. But then he goes out and does an in and out crossover spin, fade away, 15 footer. And that I'm like, oh, that looks good. That looks like it's supposed to look like. So, and then Franz, you got to chalk it up to, he's young, right? Although, I would have thought the guys coming out of the European system who play in those pressure packed games from the time they're 13 or whatever, I would have thought that wouldn't have overcome him. So I don't know what it was, but yeah, Franz looked like he just could not buy a bucket for the life of him in that second, third quarter. So that was really rough, but now we move on. And so Cleveland gets to play the
Celtics. Yeah.
Should we talk about that for half a second?
Yeah, sure. What do you think about it? I mean, Porzingis isn't there. I guess that hurts the Celtics a little bit, but the Celtics will still be talented enough and good enough to beat this Cleveland team. It'd be fun.
News came out about KP, right? About when he's coming back?
Well, not this series, but I think for the one after, he could be back.
Okay. So he's out of the conference finals. Yeah, the Celtics can obviously beat them without him.
Yeah, I mean, but he makes the Celtics unique because he's the player that could do things that no other player on that Celtics team could do. And he was playing like their second best player at times during the course of the season. I think it's going to be tough if he's not 100% versus any West Coast team they play, if they get there.
Right. No, they're going to need him without question. Yeah. And what else was I going to say about that? So, yeah, so the Celtics, yeah, I mean, obviously the Celtics are an all-time great team. I mean, what they did in the regular season, and they have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of ways to shut you down. We don't know about Jared Allen.
Right. That's another thing. I don't even know if that series goes 7, right? If Jared Allen's there.
No. I don't even think Allen gets them there. I mean, it's interesting because Cleveland then becomes a different team with, having Mobley as the anchor of their defense, which, by the way, he was great. I feel bad that I brought up this notion of we should have a conversation about him. The fact of the matter was in the video, they got back in the series in games 3 and 4 by going at him. Whether that was a good idea or not, I don't know. But they were scoring on him. They came back and blew him out in 3 and 4. And listen, how many buckets are made of the game? 25 or 27, whatever. It's 7 of them are against one player. That's a high mark. And when you see, I'm telling you, Cole Anthony was come around, boom, he's on him, went right at him and scored it. It just felt like they were that was a focus and it was working. But you definitely saw Evan Mobley, especially in yesterday too, come up with some really big plays defensively and made him look bad. So he made me look bad, I suppose, for even bringing it up.
Okay, well, how do you feel about him when he first came into the league compared to now? Has your opinion changed? What was your opinion back then?
Oh, no, I mean, my biggest problem with him is his offense. I know he shoots a high percentage, but it's usually because of the shots he gets to take that are set up by somebody else. And I would love to see him continue to develop that. I think that that's still as raw as it was, maybe a little bit better, but not much.
When you have Mitchell and Garland and even Karis LeVert, it's you don't even need your big to do that much, right?
Yeah, but in the opportunities he does have, when I'm watching with a critical eye or as a coaching standpoint, there's still issues: footwork, body, balance, touch. But again, in game 7, I did see him make a couple of nice shots. I was like, oh, okay, farther out than normal, a little touch under pressure. That was good.
It's funny because obviously Rudy's a totally different player, but Rudy feels like he has all those issues, but he's so impactful.
Yeah, well, if you watch the video, I broke down the video from game one, which was really a great game. Cannot wait for the series to continue.
Can I read you this tweet I had today?
Yeah.
It was kind of Anthony Edwards made me think of this. When a player's athletic profile is significantly higher than the level they are playing against, their ability to make shots improve. What do you think?
Say it again.
When a player's athletic profile is significantly higher than the level they are playing against, their ability to make shots improve, saying that if you're that much more athletic than everybody else on the court, even if you're not a great shooter, you'll become a better shooter because you could just get that lift. You could get easier shots off. It kind of reminds me like when I was playing overseas, right? And in the summers, I used to go to St. Francis College to play pickup. It's like a mid-major, low-major D1. And when NBA guys would come who wouldn't be considered shooters would make sometimes like 70 to 80% of their threes when we were playing pickup. Yeah. And I'm thinking it's like because everything's so much slower for them.
Right. That's true. There's no question. And that happens at every level down, right?
Yeah. So Anthony Edwards is the case where there is no level higher, but he's just at a different athletic profile. Even though he's not the greatest shooter, he can kind of just like get easy shots off.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and pickup is pickup. Like, I'll see I remember like the 12th man on a Division I team goes and plays in like a tough pickup game with the other good players and ends up, just lighting it up consistently from
even if they're not considered like a shooter at the level they normally play at.
Absolutely. So, so that's something, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And the Rudy thing, just to put a cap on that one, I did a little bit of a segment on it for a couple minutes, was just like the focus on getting him the ball on short rolls is very strange to me. I don't know why they like to do it as much as they do. And I would just get rid of it altogether. There's enough gravity of him rolling that brings people around him that opens up other things. And when he gets to the basket and you want to give it to him, okay, great, that's okay. But when they forced a couple into him where he would have caught it at the elbow and then they got stolen. So it's like, why are you trying to force it into Rudy? Like, doesn't make any sense to me. And then one, he bobbled and then ended up being a 3-pointer for Ant. Like, it was lucky. Right. But he bobbles those, but in his defense, he did have another one where he caught it and he kind of awkwardly turned and he kind of made the right pass and they hit the shot. Like, okay, that was okay.
Yeah. Oh, the one to the top, right?
Yeah. It was one on the top.
It looked like he had a glitch before he did it, right?
Right. And but the glitch might have been what you were responding to was he actually looked to the corner. That forced the defender to get way ahead of himself and start going that way, so that when he threw it to the top, where the defenders just would have been going easily, but they were out of position. So
that process might be a little smoother with other players, right?
Yeah. So maybe that's what I'm. So and I just when it's not smooth like that, even though they made it happen and made it work a little bit, it gets me nervous as a coach. So I'm like, cut those out. And like I tell you, if that happens. Like, what else can they played perfectly? Like, they played a perfect game. They had a perfect start. They hung on to some degree, and I don't think that the Nuggets are going to be. They missed some shots they would normally make, so I think that's going to change. The Gobert steal that he got on the lob.
I was about to say that he was breaking up lobs because he knows Jokic's instinct is to pass, right? And he was breaking up some of those lobs, and I think. For the Nuggets to win this next one, I think Jokic needs to look to score more. I know I know his numbers were good, but I think he needs to look to score even more because he could damage. He could punish all those players. Like, there's nobody that could guard him on that team.
Right. I want to come back to this. Let's not forget this. I want to talk about Kat. I want to talk about Jokic and all that stuff. But we got some super chats to get to, so let's get to that. Alan Tran, best friend of the breakdown. Thank you so much,
Alan. Appreciate you.
Great to see you as always. If the Magic can add one all-star level vet and maybe 1 to 2 productive vets, I can see them becoming the T-Wolves or the East to be Ingram. Makes sense, I suppose. But what you're talking about adding was not, you don't do that in one off season, right? I don't think you can get an all-star level and a couple of productive vets all in one shot, right?
I think we've seen it before, right?
I know it's a lot. Maybe we've seen it when you've already had like 2 stars. And there's
look. I mean, what did the Suns? And it ended up terrible. But I mean, they added a star and they got Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen. I know Eric Gordon's. You might not say he's productive.
So you're saying they did that? The Suns did that. Well, I guess, but they also had. How did they get KD? They had Miles Bridges and the other guy I love from North Carolina. Oh crap! What's Cam?
Johnson.
Yeah.
Do you Alan, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Brandon Ingram is I kind of want guys that could like space around Paulo and Franz, right? Like, I know like Klay Thompson is a name that's in the zeitgeist for this Magic team, but like a player like Klay, right? Where they can defend a little and space the floor instead of a guy like B. Ingram that needs the basketball, because that's another guy that needs it with Paulo and Franz.
Right. So I guess you give Klay the minutes that like Fultz got.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think moving forward. I think Suggs is a good player, and Fultz is a good player. I just don't like it around their two stars moving forward, because you want some guy that can catch and shoot.
So maybe you give like Cole Anthony's minutes to Klay. That's probably an upgrade. Although Klay, again, Klay is Klay, and he's he hasn't really been able to look like we were used to, and I don't know if that's going to happen again. But can he shoot 40% from three? Yes. Right. Can he defend? Like you said, how well can Klay defend now these days? What do you think?
I would say average.
Average. All right. Let me just look at what was Cole Anthony's.
Also, he averaged like 19, 18, right, this year. I mean,
yeah. All right. So good. So Cole Anthony played. Let me see. Cole Anthony played in 81 games in 22 minutes. So yeah, could you upgrade that position? For sure, that would be an upgrade. So that would help. Ingram is a number 3. Is where I think he's best. Right.
But does he fit the role of a number 3 if the two other players need the basketball?
Right. Well, obviously Banchero and Wagner are the 1 and 2, right? Although he would probably think you're right. How would that fit? And would he become an issue? Would that break up whatever is going on? That said, I'm not even sure the way they ran their offense in the playoffs, at least, was really frustrating for me, for the Magic, in a way that they're not maximizing both of those stars and the gravity and all those different things together. That's
what I'm saying. The gravity. Does Brandon Ingram, I don't know if he really gives you gravity. He's not going to give you quick hitting threes. He kind of wants the ball, get into a mid-range, get a bucket up, which Paulo is doing a lot of already.
Yeah. So it could be redundant. So they would probably need a different, from another position upgrade.
Yeah.
Who's their point guard?
Oh, Jalen Suggs and Fultz.
Yeah, so that's Jalen Suggs could move over to a shooting guard. They would benefit from a better point guard. You know what I mean? I don't think Suggs is really that guy necessarily who could do that.
What's a point guard anymore? Do you even
not even like Chris Paul, but they could probably find something there to upgrade or adjust, and they will. I'm sure they will, but I don't know if it'll happen next year. It might be the year after when they finally get the pieces in place. But great question, Alan. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alan.
We have Isaiah. Thank you so much, Isaiah. Really, really appreciate this. Do you like Trae Young on the Orlando Magic? So I didn't even had seen this question before I brought it up, but suddenly now that's the kind of player that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I like that. I also think Orlando Magic is already good on defense, so it cleans up some of what Trae is deficient in, right? And I like it. I like it for the Magic. I like it for the Spurs. I like it for the Lakers. I like Trae Young in general. I think he's underappreciated at this point.
If Trae Young goes to the Magic and with those, the main guys still staying, is that the best team he's been on in the NBA?
I mean, he's made it to Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA.
He did. John Collins and who else was on that team? DeAndre Hunter, and then
I do think though that Paulo and Franz will have to change their role slightly.
For sure. But then remember, we unless we've forgotten, Trae's an excellent passer as well. But excellent. I like Trae. I think that might be. I think Trae Young it suffered as much from a rough roster around him as much as he has his own game. Which there are issues with his game. There are some problems. Shot selection sometimes, I guess, is the big one. But he might feel like he's got to take some of those shots a lot of the time because of the roster around him. And if he was on a team that was better like that and better suited for him, he would improve.
You don't become Ice Trae by being gunshot, Coach Nick.
That's right. You can't miss the shots you don't take. You can't make the shots.
Oh yeah, I got a poster that says that somewhere.
Yeah. So all right. Well, Isaiah, a good call. I think that would work. So what's the story with Trae Young? I haven't heard. Are they going to get rid of him?
No, they didn't say that officially, but I think everybody thinks he needs to change the scenery, right? And probably Atlanta wants to move on as well. Looks like they're going to move on with DeJounte, but they haven't said officially they're trading Trae Young.
I don't think that they would. I don't know why you would, but if you did, how would the Magic even get him? They'd have to trade Suggs.
Right? and more, right? For Trae Young.
Yeah, but Suggs would be part of that. Which if you could switch Suggs for Trae Young, I think you should do that. And then you have
Suggs and DeJounte is a nice defensive backcourt, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And he's been shooting it a little bit better.
So it's like a first, Jalen Suggs, that's probably not enough. So I don't know what you do, how you get that to make that work. I mean,
one of the bigs, Wendell Carter.
Yeah, I like how he's been playing.
He's great. Maybe Isaac.
Yeah, it'll probably have to be like Isaac.
But they'd want Wendell over Isaac.
But I don't know if Isaac has that much. He came back.
That's what I'm saying.
Good, but
that's what I'm saying. The Hawks would want Wendell over Isaac, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh, I just swore. You know what? I just realized something.
What?
I was supposed to do an interview. Wait, you know what? Sometimes I get screwed up with the time. Oh no, I'm good. I'm sorry. I have a podcast from my. I just got a text from my podcast partner on the political podcast side, and I panicked because I remember we were doing one today earlier than normal, but it's still 12:30 my time. It's only 10:45. So live insight into my head. Forgive me, but yeah, I just want to make sure he's texting me. Okay, so all right. So that's good. So we got a Trae Young destination. So, but again, I don't know if the Magic can pull that off if they have enough assets. That's the problem. Yeah. Okay. Bron, best friend of the breakdown.
Thanks, Bron. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Feels like the Nuggets need their defense to fuel more mismatches on offense. And by mismatches, I mean getting Gobert on Jokic instead of him roaming. So thank you so much. Bron he knows me well. He knows I needed to get back to this. So thank you for bringing this up again. Okay. So here's before we kind of before we dissect what Bron had just said, there's a notion, obviously, that Cat is a better defender than Gobert when they're guarding Jokic in the post. And here's the thing I've noticed, because people want to say, Rudy's hovering so he doesn't go. But I'm telling you, man, what I've been seeing, what it looks to me is that Jokic can back Rudy down under the basket when he wants to. But he cannot do that with Cat. Cat seems to be able to stand him up better.
I think this is common knowledge,
Well, is it? What is Cat doing that seems to hold Jokic off from just better down under the basket?
Better processing and reflexes. I feel like Gobert just looks slow. Like Gobert's a great shot blocker, great help side defender, but it feels like the processing in which Jokic plays at is just too much for Gobert, and then the footwork and the skill level.
Isn't it strength?
No, not only. It's just a little part of it, I think.
So when Jokic,
I mean, Cat probably is stronger as well.
What?
I think Cat is stronger than Gobert as well, but I think he processes the game on both sides faster.
Okay. I mean, to me, it's like it's some sort of core and leg strength thing, and maybe there's maybe it's center of gravity as well.
Balance.
Jokic a little bit better. Like there's some physical thing happening there that when Jokic smashes into Cat, the pile does not move much. Where when he smashes into Gobert, within 3 dribbles, he's got Gobert under the rim. And he missed one on that one toward the end of the game. You remember Jokic point blank, and you could say that Rudy got a hand up to contest, but we're talking about Jokic here. He doesn't miss that. And even the one when he throws the lob, Jokic's runner is one of the best runners in the entire NBA and has been that way for years. And he shoots that all the time. So, and for him to make a mistake like that and throw the pass instead of shooting the runner when it was open like that is, I don't know. It's just weird to me. So I think it goes back to what you had said, which was he needs to be more of a scorer. And then with that in mindset, he's not even worrying about trying to lob it to Aaron Gordon. Right? Like that's the key. We did see, though, and I didn't even put it in the video because I wanted to make sure we focused on the good stuff in the Minnesota Timberwolves, but we did see a number of times where Denver was feeling it out and found ways to get Rudy on him or to get Rudy away from being hovering around the basket. And I think I showed at least one of those at least. So I think Denver will start to more ruthlessly do that. They had an Aaron Gordon ball screen for Jokic. I think they only did one of them, and it led to a score. So I think that's a really big one is seeing, Gordon screen for Jokic, forcing a switch. Now Gobert has to guard Jokic. And then once that starts happening, I don't know, Minnesota's going to have to figure something else out in a hurry.
Yeah, Jokic is going to drop 43 next game.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Ooh. So if you go on, use my code at Sleeper, pick the over for Jokic. And what is my code? I'll tell you, because you know what? It's worth, blasting out there. Do you play daily fantasy, by the way?
Yeah, my podcast is sponsored by Prize Picks, so I use Prize Picks.
Oh, Prize Picks, we used to be around here, but Sleepers now, B-Ball 100 is my code. So use that code if you want. They'll match your deposit in the beginning. But yeah, it's fun. It actually changes the way you watch the game, right?
100%.
You know, and then all of a sudden it's like not even the result. It's like, will Cat get that third block or something like that?
Right.
Now it could also be considered, well, I don't know, not considered evil, but some people get frustrated by that whole thing. But I think that there's so much skill involved in that because you really got to look at like who the defense is, how many games have they played that week,
the blowout factor. Like if a team's way better, that star might not be playing at the end of the game.
That's all so tough. But then again, if they're playing against a weaker team, they're going to get their numbers too. So that's another thing. Right. So again, it does prove that like when you're playing the daily fantasy stuff, so many things have to be computed that relate to skill of evaluation. So for sure, check that out. And then you know what? Put it all together, you can win some money.
That is true.
And in this economy, we all need to figure out ways to make money.
What do you think about this OKC series?
The OKC series, I don't know. I mean, I think we're talking about experience and stuff like that. Like they don't really have any.
Yeah, I think that that's what with Kyrie and Luka, even though Luka's a young player and the players around them, I think they're going to win that series with their experience. That's the first thing that comes to mind, that word, experience.
Now, Luka's all banged up, bleeding from the knee and whatnot, or whatever they're saying. That's something to keep your eye on.
Eternal bleeding or external bleeding?
External bleeding. I think that they're giving injections and then I don't know, something weird like that. But that's been happening apparently for a lot of the season as they've been. You get into injection, you might bleed a little bit, but nonetheless, he's getting injections, I suppose, and so that's it's not good. You don't want those when you're in the middle of playing a playoff series. Who guards Luka? How does that work?
Jalen Williams.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Lou Dort might guard Kyrie, but that won't be a good matchup for Lou Dort, right?
I don't know. Lou Dort, I mean, Lou Dort is it'll be fascinating. You know what it'll be like? I'm not sure if it's like the Matrix, but it'll be like, hand-to-hand combat, right? Like just constantly reaching whatever, and then Kyrie constantly moving the ball, manipulating it. It's going to be one of those kind of like, coordinated.
Isn't he more of like I feel like that would be the matchup if it was like Matisse Thybulle, but I feel like Lou Dort's more sturdy, right?
Yeah, and he's just shorter, and it is different in a way. And remember, Thybulle likes to let you go by him and play from behind, so it'll be a lot different. But I think Dort's going to be hyper aggressive. Now, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Dort, I'm sure will probably find some possessions on Luka. I just feel like that size thing is a problem, but he could be a pest to that dribble and keep Luka having to guard the dribble better, and that might get him his back turned a little bit more.
I bet you they target Giddey.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Giddey, it's been pretty good defensively.
I mean, their whole team is good, so yeah. But I mean, that would be the guy to target, right?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Okay, Luka's got the ball up top, and he's looking to who's going to screen for him.
Yeah, I mean, you're not probably targeting SGA, Jalen, or Dort. Chet on the perimeter, maybe. I don't know.
That's tough because Chet can move too. He's good. And he's long. Chet
on an island on those two, though. I don't know.
It's interesting. It could be Giddey, or and if not, then you just kind of run your offense, and maybe they'll throw Luka in the post more. That might be.
Yeah, I don't think any of those guys could guard Luka in the post.
Right. So they might end up having to do that, which I wouldn't be averse to. I had a nice back and forth on Twitter with somebody about how the post up is an inefficient play, and I had to kind of explain.
I mean, Kyrie in the post too is tough. He's very good in the post.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, let's talk about that for a second because I was going to look this up and I forgot, but I'll continue to do my
Rick Carlisle said that about Porzingis when he was playing with Luka, but that's a totally different subject.
And I did a video on that too to prove that my friend Carlisle was not exactly accurate. And I think I've broken it down.
I think the days of like having a big man just standing down there and throwing the ball down to him for a post touch is probably not the best way to play basketball at this point. But when you're like a guard like Brunson who could weave in and out of post ups, I think it could be very efficient.
Well, here's the thing. Where is it? So Nikola Jokic is post-ups. And the discussion we had about why like post-ups are inefficient, don't you know this kind of thing? Or I don't know. Maybe that's not his tone.
Yeah, I think a Jokic post-up is good.
Right. And so I'm like, and he goes, if somebody goes down there and scores on half the possessions, like that's just not efficient. I'm like, 1.0 points per possession is the number one half court offense for the Celtics this year, and they were 1.01 or 1.02. So now you're talking about 1.0 is horribly inefficient. Like that doesn't make any sense if you do a thing like that. Now, do you want to know what Jokic's points per possession is on his post-ups?
I would guess 1.2.
1.13.
Okay, close.
Again, that would probably lead the league in half court offense if that's what you ran all the time. Now, here's one thing I'm not factoring. I'm not factoring.
Which it would go down if they ran that every time. But yeah,
probably either way. Do you know? I'm not factoring.
What?
I'm not factoring in passes. If you factor in passes, it goes up to 1.143, which is
just giving him a post touch, basically.
Yeah. Now the other thing that you're factoring into. Are you ready for this? Have you ever seen a post up player get really good position, get low, and miss the shot, but then get the rebound and put it right back in?
Yes.
So don't you think that should be counted as part of the post up?
Definitely. I mean, that's why drives could be valuable as well, right? You attack the rim.
Okay, good. That's another good point. But let's just focus on post ups. This happens maybe more than you think. And so if you were to include the putbacks, which I am sure in my mind's eye, I can already picture a number of those from the Jokic, this 1.143 is at least 1.25, right? Or something like that. It goes up at least a point or a tenth. And so now you're talking about the most efficient play you could possibly run in the half court. And so if at least we're going to talk about Jokic specifically, you cannot with any credibility say that that's not an efficient way to run your offense or to play. So I would think that they're going to do that more. I bet you they're going to try and get him down the post more. And if you try and do the high post, it allows Rudy to hover on the block and stuff, especially when Aaron Gordon, who doesn't shoot the ball well from the three, right? So either they do that or they go small and play him off the court. The problem is Denver doesn't have a big enough rotation to play small. I feel like, right? Like, let's look at their lineups real quick. This is a thing I should have thought about. But
I would also say, like, when it comes to the post up, and Jokic is an anomaly. Like, you want to get Jokic with post ups more than probably any other big in the game, right? But I think balance matters too, because while all you're saying is true, I don't know if giving your big post touches is the best way to have everybody involved and be in flow for the sake of the offense in general. Yeah. So I think
Jokic, specifically Jokic, cutters, movement, all that skip passes. It is happening, right? Like, right?
Yeah, for him, yeah. But like I'm saying, like the Akeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing post up in today's game.
I hear you. Listen, there's no one more progressive than I am when it comes to the game and how we can continue to evolve. So
am I out progressiving you?
You are, I guess. I mean, sometimes listen. There's some. They were pretty smart back then, and they knew what they were doing. And this guy, certainly the way he plays it, it's not inefficient. That's the point. And that's where that whole conversation started. Like, I suppose if you wanted to pull out into a huge macro sense, yes, the post up with 6 dribbles in place and everyone standing around watching is not the best way to run an offense. But if you have a Jokic, you got to do it. So I'm looking at the top played lineups in this last series for the Nuggets. And then what I did was I did a search for the name Gordon to see, okay, what are the top things they played without Gordon in the lineup to figure out, are there some small ball here where you had, Jokic and not Gordon and small. But the most played lineup they had without Gordon in it, are you ready for this? It only played in 2 games of the 6. It only played 9 minutes total. It was Reggie, Justin Holiday. Wait, it's Justin, right?
Justin.
KCP, Jokic, and MPJ. So that's MPJ playing the 4. And by the way, they're going to have to find some ways to make that happen. Get MPJ playing the 4 a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
That net rating of that lineup plus 30.6. That's pretty good. The next lineup they did was with Brown or Watson playing the power forward. You can, I guess, take your pick. Did not do well. But I think that's the key. And then after that, you're talking about, almost no minutes for the rest of it. Let's switch it to the regular season real quick. Can we?
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. Let's go there and really look. I'm going to take Gordon out of the equation. And so we got, what it is? We got to find the lineups when it's MPJ as the 4. And that's not it. And then you got a lot of lines without Murray because of his injury. So, But here, is this it? Here, KCP, Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Peyton Watson. There it is. 13 games, 64 minutes, plus 3.6. So it didn't even do that well. It played, a number of minutes, but something like that. But I think we need to get that. You have to have Murray, KCP. Who did we say? Somebody, Michael Porter Jr. and Jokic. Who plays the three? I guess it's either Brown or Watson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there you go. Problem solved, Coach Malone. Just go do that. Find those things, and they'll win that series. Who do you think is going to win that series?
Oh, the Mavs.
Okay, I'm sorry, Nuggets.
Oh, the Nuggets.
Okay, you think the Nuggets are going to come back after being down 1-0?
Yes.
And you think the Mavs are going to beat the OKC in 6 games?
6. I think Nuggets in 6 and Mavs in 6.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And
it wouldn't be right of me to change my prediction now with the Nuggets. I wouldn't overreact to one game. What would that make me?
An overreactor.
Yeah.
Yeah. We certainly shouldn't overreact too much. There's a lot of good stuff that the Nuggets can take from that. Knicks in 6.
Yep.
And then Celtics in
5.
5. You're gonna give them a game?
Give them a game.
Okay. Yeah, gentlemen sweep.
Put Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum will be taking a whole bunch of tough shots with their offense, and
right. And then Derek White's going to shut down.
They think I'm a Celtic hater in the comments section, Coach Nick. They think I'm a Celtic hater, so maybe I should stick with that.
Yeah, I feel like you've defended Tatum more than I do.
No, I don't like his game.
Okay,
me personally. I mean, I think he's a great player. I just like the way some of the other stars play basketball better than him.
Yeah, actually, that's right. You like Brown like I like Brown, I think.
Yeah. I think he's underrated and probably Tatum's slightly overrated.
And now Rudy Gobert is questionable for tonight's game due to his girlfriend being in labor. That's not break. Is that? I hope we're not breaking like fake news. Is that right? Mile 22. Yeah. And then Gobert ain't missing the game for the birth of his son. That experience is overrated. Shots fired. Were you there for the birth of your child?
Yeah, it's not overrated.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. You know what? The loneliest person, loneliest moment a man could ever have, I would imagine, is sitting outside the room. Well, my wife had a C-section, so I had to sit outside the room, so we knew it was all happening. And you're by yourself for about 20 minutes, and there's no lonelier feeling than this.
I mean, there was no other family with you?
I don't think I could. It was the OR kind of setup, where you're on scrubs and the whole thing.
Got you.
So, all right, Dane Moore tweeted it. Well, that's Dane Moore's definitely.
My son stood up, so I had a different kind of experience. Like he came out and just stood up. He's different.
Your son stood up on his own 2 legs?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like that doesn't. I don't believe you. Like what?
My son's
You're telling me that how would he have been able? Like they're holding him, they're cutting the cord, they're doing the stuff, they're holding him down.
He just came out, stood up.
Where? What did he stand up on?
At least that's how I remember it.
You don't have a video of this?
No, I was in the moment, Coach Nick. I wasn't on the smartphone.
Oh no! I mean, listen, my daughter, I had my PD 150, like my old mini DV camera going.
So that's dope. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, I had high quality digital video.
Coach Nick was getting content, making sure everything was good with the content.
Yeah. I don't remember. Wait, I got the other one too as well, but maybe on I used a phone. I don't remember that point. 2007. No, I don't even think I had a smartphone then. To
change the conversation slightly. It's all about the conversation here. I was going through podcasts, learning about how to build YouTube channels, and you came up. You were on somebody else's podcast.
Oh,
yeah. It was good. I listened to the whole thing yesterday.
You know what's funny is it's been so long for me. I couldn't really give you any of the insight that I learned because I don't know what I did then doesn't really.
It was an hour of insight.
Okay, so
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we talked about some of the stuff and what I did, but I wonder how actionable any of that is today.
Dusty Porter was his name. Do you remember that? Dusty Porter's podcast.
Sure, that sounds right. That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing was though, you said, yeah, we do live shows, and you didn't even mention me, Coach. Come on, man. You got to say Combo's my co-host.
Oh, forgive me. Did we talk about live shows very often? It was just a little quick.
No, very, very quick. Yeah. You were talking about, very quick.
All right. I'm sorry, Combo. I'll give you a shoulder pat. whatever. But it's not that I'm not thinking of you. How about that?
All right. I'm just messing with you, man.
But at any rate, and then Mile 23 has an interesting way of spelling beat reporter that changes the whole connotation of beat when it's spelled B-E-E-T.
Speaking of beats, who's winning, Drake or Kendrick?
Yeah, I don't understand. Can you give me can you explain it in like 2 sentences tops?
I love that we're getting a lot of music out of both of them, but it's a lot to comprehend right now. So, Combo leads a busy life. So I have to listen to every track all the way through, and then I'll make my decision on who wins.
All right. So they each recorded the song.
No, they're constantly recording and constantly putting out music, and it's getting crazy. There's they can make a compilation album at this point.
But each song has a specific focus that's supposed to be insulting the other. Is that right?
Oh yeah. It's getting personal, Coach Nick.
It's getting personal. So they're talking about their family members or whatever.
Oh yeah. It's getting crazy.
And so someone might win out of this between the two.
Yeah, I think consensus was Kendrick, but then Drake dropped last night, so we'll see what happens. I listened to every song at least once, but I feel like I have to go through it. Like I need a detailed film study, if you will.
And is there any value to these songs, or are they simply just churning these out?
Oh, it's hip hop history because it's 2 of the greatest rappers ever battling.
So they're good. The music's good. Like it's actually well thought out. They're not just
these guys are like lyrical geniuses, Like I know people say like Drake is not the most lyrical, but that guy can really rap, man. And obviously Kendrick is lyrical and he can really rap as well. So yeah, it's been interesting. People drop in the comment who you think won. Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, so it's Kendrick Lamar versus Drake.
I usually hide the chat, so I'll look at the chat for now. Let's see.
You hide the chat? That's kind of aggressive.
Well, you look at it and I feel like you
got it under control.
Yeah. All right. Oh, nobody's saying anything yet. So unless I'm slow.
Are we going to see another Tupac and Biggie situation endgame out of this? I would hope not.
Oh, I didn't see that. What's going? Oh, the price.
That's the most recent comment. However, but is this real beef?
Yeah, it's out. I mean, some of these are contrived because it helps both artists often, but I think this one's real.
You think it's real? You think they both Kendrick?
We got 2 Kendricks already. So
and isn't Drake kind of like a dork?
Yeah, he started out as an actor. He's a little bit nerdy, but I think he leans into that. Like, I don't think he tries to fake the funk with that.
Okay, all right. So he leans into being a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I know a little bit of his music.
He's a funny dork.
Okay, I get the sense that he's not like the coolest of the cool people, but that's okay. We all can't be as cool as you and I.
That is true. That is tough.
It is. I used to be, you know what? Actually, I used to kind of be in both camps, growing up. So there was value to having, the perspective on both sides. The hits on Kendrick are way more savage. You kind of feel bad for him.
I see what he's saying, but I mean, Drake fought
for Drake because of how savage it is from Kendrick.
Yeah, well, could that be a loss if you feel like Kendrick is almost bullying him? That could be a loss in itself, right? If he looks like too much like a bully.
But you know what? It gets back to our, the roasting of Tom Brady kind of thing, right? Where it's like,
is this entertainment?
You have to go as far as you can on these and put the person out of his misery, I suppose. But in that respect, it's like some of the things that you heard in that roast of Tom Brady were, it's like, are we still insulting people for that kind of stuff? Like, it seems way out of bounds at this point, and B, it's like, is it really even funny? And then you might, the crowd is laughing heartily, and you might chuckle or like, in that shocked way. But it's interesting where we're moving towards in all of this.
Yeah, we got 3 Kendricks already and no Drake, so maybe Kendrick's winning.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, without even having any idea what's going on, then I can kind of see something on Twitter. Which, by the way, I think this week I'm going to just get off of Twitter for a lot longer than I normally am. But it's even me feels like somehow Kendrick was winning. Lamar was winning.
Okay.
Anyway, but
when you check the temperature, you saw Kendrick winning.
It's just in my mind as it's swirling around, but without me, yeah, it's something about his name standing out to me that like he was.
Well, have you been on Twitter late last night or early this morning much?
Probably,
okay,
a little bit, but not, not. I don't know if I'm in my timeline. I was looking at my mentions and whatnot, but that's the key. I'm going to stop checking my mentions for a little while.
So in the title of this, when you make it a podcast, you could put Knicks Pacers preview, the value of a post up, and the Drake Kendrick battle.
Okay, is that a little bit too wordy?
You know what? Like, who knows, man? Because sometimes the simple titles do good, and sometimes when you put all the topics of the titles, it does good. Who knows nowadays?
That's right. That's my dad's signature phrase is "Who knows."
Who knows? Especially with the
made up T-shirts that say "Who knows."
especially with how the algorithms go these days. You never know.
Listen, amen. And you know what? I'm going to wear my "Who knows" sweatshirt next time to show you that I have it. So,
Okay.
well, Combo, great show. It was awesome to have Ben here breaking stuff down to us as well. That was really insightful. I might try and get. Well, I guess it's going to be over now. We're going to start the series, but Caitlin may have to come on for the Pacers side and get some breakdowns from her.
She's a really smart basketball mind. I actually never had a conversation with her, so that'd be fun.
Okay, I'll ask her if she wants to come on. Maybe after game one. All right,
Sounds
we're
good.
going to get together maybe later this week.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's do one before Monday. I think there's going to be a lot of good games going on.
Yeah, and maybe take a nap, and maybe you'll be awake do a post game show.
Oh, now you're talking, Coach Nick. Let's try.
I mean, we could, but and there's a lot. I just there's a lot more people there, but it's late, man, because we got to go after the second game.
How do we go in between the games? No way, huh? No time.
Well, I mean, we could, but we'll see. We'll play around with it a little bit, but I'm telling you the post game live shows are the way to go. I'm going to probably do at least one. So.
It's lit. It's lit, huh?
Yeah, it's lit. Yeah, we got lots of oos up in this chat.
What?
So
all right, I'll see you soon, Coach Nick. Oh, are we done? We got more? What do we got? We done?
We're done.
Okay.
It's on. We're already on. We're over. So anyway, thanks so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Combo, and all the Alan, Isaiah, and Bron. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown. We're not a channel. We're a conversation. Wow, I forgot what I was going to say. Are you in? Are you in, Combo?